and I love them. Are we all...
The Euros wouldn't have been period appropriate for my 90s joke.
Okay, so
Deutschmarks.
who's starting this show? I'll do it.
When we do it,
You start the show. You're the only one who hasn't started the show.
He started one.
I think we all did one, yeah.
Okay.
Welcome to Four Brewers.
Welcome to Four Brewers. I am John Holzer, and I am joined by...
Jason Harris.
And Greg Nagel.
And Rick Smets.
And Matt Becker, who's not here. Today we are doing a bit of a grab bag of a show. We got some beers from a listener that sent us some grab bag. All right, well done. But first, we are doing a beer from Stereo Brewing Company because Rick Smets is the owner and brewer at Stereo Brewing Company. He's here for fourth show. So this is a Kolsch, right, Jason?
Expect
shenanigans.
Kolsch. Yes. It's a Kolsch brewed in Cologne.
Tell us about this Kolsch, Rick.
He went to Cologne, Germany to brew it.
We as a brewery, you got to have something that, first of all, I like beer that tastes like beer.
So do I.
There's something to be said about beer that just has that old-fashioned taste of beer.
Right.
I think that Kolsch has that. We knew we wanted to make some sort of light beer. The blonde ale is so uninspired. It doesn't, who just makes a really inspired blonde ale or cream ale? So I wanted to
That's a good point.
I wanted to be passionate about making a beer that tasted like beer. So I figured, look, I'll make a Kolsch. So we use 100% Weirmann. So it's German Pilsner malt, grown in Germany and shipped over. German hops that are grown in Germany and packaged and shipped over. And we use a traditional Kolsch yeast. We ferment at 55 degrees. I can make a blonde in 7 days.
Right.
This takes me 6 weeks.
Right.
I'm certainly not doing myself any favors by doing it, but I love the crisp. It's a Pilsner would take even longer for me because I would definitely let it longer.
Yeah.
And just let it go. I can't afford that. I only have a few tanks in my brewery, so I wanted to brew something that I wanted to drink, which is, potentially my favorite beer is a hoppy Pilsner. Well, then I could make a hoppy Kolsch. And so there's actually a tremendous amount of hops in this. You wouldn't know it. And we use Perla and Hirschbrucker, traditional German hops, and it's just it. There's just nothing else. It's just a clean, simple beer. And it's turned out to be something that's really special to us. And
That's tasty, by the way.
it's well, thank you. But it's actually the beer that the local brewers come to my place to drink. They come to drink this and the Wall of Sound.
Yeah, this is a 5% ABV beer. It's got. I mean, it's a Kolsch. I mean, you can't really.
It's a German pale ale,
yeah.
dude.
And I'm not saying that in like a dismissive way, like, it's a Kolsch, because it's a difficult beer to make. I think. I mean, if you want,
it's just hard to describe when it's a textbook style done in a traditional way. It's hard to not just sound like you're reciting the BJCP guidelines.
Yeah. And so
It's
me
low
saying,
on
it's a
bitterness with
Kolsch,
crisp finish.
it's more of a compliment than it is.
Well, that's actually perfect. That's perfect.
You
That's
don't have
what it's
to
supposed
think about
be.
it. It's just it's a Kolsch. So
It's nice and hoppy,
what's your
though.
schedule for like fermenting and temperatures and lagering?
Well,
and...
yeah, we boil a long time. So it's a light beer. You don't really need to, but I boil for 2 hours just to drive off all the DMS.
Okay.
Then, like I said, we're using a traditional Kolsch yeast, and it.
You said 55 degrees.
Yeah, we ferment at 55 degrees.
Is that just the temperature you're at the whole time?
The whole time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we come straight out of the heat exchanger into the fermenter at 55 degrees. We ferment at 55 degrees. It's slow and steady.
Right.
This yeast just loves it. And
Do you have to overpitch at all for this?
No, not at all. I found that it's a really loving yeast. If I overpitch a little bit or underpitch a little bit,
because I know with like lagers and pilsners, as far as like pitch rates go, you have to overpitch just because.
Interestingly enough, the guys from Taps, who I have a tremendous amount of respect for, those guys. Shout out to Taps Brewing Company and the genius of Kyle and John and your team. You guys are amazing.
Don't forget Eric.
They told me, John's like, dude, I've been underpitching my lagers and they just are killing it. So, you never know. That's something about being a brewer and being in the brewing industry and putting in the time It's only something you can learn. You can't just know. And if you get lucky enough that somebody that's learned it is willing to share it with you, you hold on to those little things.
Yeah, I think it's. I mean, for under pitching lagers, like if you don't have to pitch that much yeast to make a good lager, then like why do it? Because you're just wasting money at that point.
That's
if you can
absolutely.
find that, like,
and let me tell you,
line,
yeast pitches aren't cheap.
Yeah, that's my point. Like if you can. It's efficiency, getting efficiency out of your yeast and still having a good product.
And so if with a small brewery, it's hard when you manage multiple yeasts. So we have a Kolsch yeast. Well, I don't make my ales with the Kolsch yeast. I just make the Kolsch.
Right.
So it took 2 years essentially for us to get enough business to where we can bounce this thing around. I finally got 6 or 7 generations. I guess I got 6. My 7th generation will go to Gunwale, and they're going to go ahead and make a Kolsch. And I've got this beautiful yeast that's just been doing me right. And as yeast pick up generations, they actually make better beer. A second or third generation beer with the same yeast can just have a nicer, fuller, rounder character and clean up really well.
So when you say generations, is that like, so this is the 7th pull from a fermenter?
7th time that it's fermented a beer and been pulled.
Okay. So that's not a lot at all, considering it's been 2 years. It just shows how much you're making this beer.
No.
Like for an ale,
I had to buy it like 25 times. I just managed to get seven beers out of this one purchase.
Got it. Okay.
So we made the Kolsch. Then we made the Kolsch again. We bought a 15-barrel pitch. Then we made it. And that props up the yeast. We take that yeast. We put it into the 30-barrel. We made a 30-barrel batch. Then we made another 30-barrel batch. Then we took the yeast out and we made our Hazy Jane, which is a beer that we make with 150 pounds of fresh peeled ginger that's been juiced, wildflower honey, and lemon. Mm-hmm. And then it's a wheat beer. It's wonderful. I should have brought it.
You brought enough.
I don't think so.
You're good.
So you brought a lot of beer.
Then we brewed another Kolsch, and right now we have a beer in fermenter that we're really excited about. That's a wheat IPA. So we actually, I think if you were to think about it, we may have brewed the first hazy IPA in Orange County. It's just that we didn't know that you're supposed to call it that.
Yeah, I think that's a problem a lot of breweries, or not a problem, but something that a lot of breweries have encountered.
There was a minor trend of white IPA, which is basically the same thing.
Yeah, it's like
right.
A hoppy hef.
Exactly. We made
Belgian
made a beautiful wheat IPA that's really heavy in Belma hop. If you haven't had the Belma hop, it's fantastic. I look forward to you trying it. And we made it as well with the Kolsch yeast. So it's really interesting to have this weedy, big 7% IPA that's tremendously hopped, just sitting fermenting at 55 degrees and just taken away.
Yeah.
And just cleaning up, and it's so bright and crisp. So it's not at all like the juicy hazies, but it's absolutely delicious. Cool. We're super excited about it.
Nice. This is, like I said, this is great.
We call it Love and Mercy.
Oh, that's a good name.
I will say I do appreciate breweries that kind of rewinding a little bit when you talk about using the Kolsch yeast on the Kolsch. You see a lot of smaller breweries cut a corner there, and they just go, it'll be fine.
This is our Kolsch with some two-row.
Just put on the USO5, it'll be fine. And it ends up just being super mediocre, bland beer, and so I definitely appreciate when breweries take the effort to actually be like, we know it costs more, we know it doesn't, it's hard to find other uses for it, but we're gonna make Kolsch with the fucking Kolsch yeast,
right?
And we're not just gonna throw the Kolsch recipe with USO5,
It would be a lot easier. It'd be a lot easier. I'd make a blonde ale. It'd be done in 7 to 10 days. I could turn that thing. That's a big difference. 7 to 10 days to 5-6 weeks.
Yeah.
But we think that, again, it matters what's inside. It matters what you're actually drinking. The liquid is what matters, and there's nothing that's going to stop us from doing what we need to do to get that done within reason. We would love to be. I'd love to make a lot of lagers. I just don't have the space for it.
Right.
When that time comes, then I'll make sure that when I make them, I don't rush them either.
I will say the market for lagers in the craft segment is getting bigger. I think
It's certainly growing.
You've seen, as the craft beer scene has matured, I think you've seen people that are ready to drink milder flavors again. Like, not necessarily no flavor, but they don't need to be fucking whopped in the face with, 4 pounds per barrel of dry hop, or, a ton of alcohol or coffee or whatever. Like, they are back to appreciating, a good Pilsner.
I think for me, it
Pilsner's
comes down
great.
to like I drink beer, and like I got into hoppy beers and all the different beers. And you open a beer and it's like, I want to drink more, but I can't drink more of this 10% beer. Like, I can, but I'm going to regret it the next day. So give me something with flavor, something that I can appreciate, but not feel guilty or worried about like waking up tomorrow feeling horrible. And that's that line you cross, I think. And I don't. It's a weird line because it's like, I want to drink more, so give me lower.
Right?
It's like, but I want lower alcohol. Like it's almost like, well, how low can we go where I can just like drink beer and then just feel fine after drinking beer?
But it's there's something very, very nice about being able to start drinking early and have it not weigh you down.
Yeah.
If you start drinking at 11 o'clock because it's Super Bowl Sunday and you want to drink beer with flavor, and you go to a Pilsner, you go to a Hoppy Pils or to something like a Kolsch.
For Thanksgiving,
But blonde ales are fucking boring, man.
Exactly. And
they're just boring.
I talked about going to Sprouts to buy beer, and it was like, my intention was to get Allagash White for Thanksgiving for myself to drink and for anyone else that wanted to drink a beer. And it's accessible. It's it's a good beer, and it's got flavor to it, and it's like 4.5%. It's good.
Yeah.
It didn't have it, which I was kind of surprised by. So I got the Firestone Walker Lager. I got two
Just
6-packs of that.
Great.
And it's a great beer. And I drank 10 of those beers, which sounds bad, but I started drinking at
It's not like you do it every
and
day.
stopped drinking at
You can't drink
11.
all day until you start in the unless
What are you
start
doing?
in the morning.
I'll
Right.
drink 10 of those beers right now.
I'm just saying, like, yeah, I drank
Shotgun 'em
10
right here.
beers, but it was spread out over 12 hours.
And that's the same.
So-
When I worked there, my favorite beer when I worked there was Union Jack.
Such a great beer.
And I got to drink
Yeah.
it fresh. I knew when
Union-
it was,
Union Jack is the heartbreaker right now, right? It is my girlfriend's absolute favorite beer. She fucking loves Union Jack. Like, we both really love IPA and hoppy beer, but Union Jack is like her, like the one beer we love, but it's so fucking hard to find fresh.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think of the last time I saw
because
it.
they don't. I don't want to. My disappointment with you, Firestone Walker, who is my alma mater and I love. I don't want to have to say this, but
Distribution's a bitch.
well, it's just that they focused. They're so successful. They're so talented. They have everything. They have hardworking people. They have people that are passionately involved. That are they're sold. They drank the Kool-Aid. They're bought in. It's an amazing company. They didn't have to just 805. They could.
well.
They made such. Their beers are so good.
But 805's a good. I mean, it sells
That's his
well.
thing.
Sells well. Sells well.
They're a
And
business, too. I
it's
get it.
smart. I know, but they didn't. They were doing so well. They've always done well. They were always going to do well, and their beers are so good.
805
And
is not a bad
I
beer.
wouldn't-
It's not a
honestly,
bad beer.
just
It's
not-
a boring beer.
it's
It's
not
just
great.
a boring beer with
Yeah.
a great marketing.
I will say this. I'm going to go and say I don't think the fault of Union Jack not being fresh on the shelf lies
It's
with...
such a delicious beer.
I don't think that lies with Firestone as much as I think all of the...
I just don't think you can find it anywhere.
I don't want
anymore.
to say legacy, but like all of the older hoppy beer brands tend to sit. They tend to
Like
kind
Stone
of
IPA.
Sierra Nevada. Find a Sierra Nevada beer that isn't 3 months old. Although that
That's
leaves
Sierra
without
Nevada's
their
fault.
warehouse aging. That is their fault. You get a beer the first day it came into stores, and it's already 2 months from when it was bottled from Sierra Nevada.
You know what? But I will tell you, Firestone Walker, they're adamant about their people, and all kinds of things happen on accident, but nothing. They will stop at nothing to stop anything from being out there that's out of code over 3 months old. They'll buy it all back. They send their people out to get it all, and I've taken that exact
true.
same model. If it's the second that I taste one of my packaged product and I'm dissatisfied with it, and then I okay, shit, we had this happen. We canned a bunch of our hazy IPA, and fresh. It's amazing. It's amazing. But we're using a mobile canner, and we know we've been able to figure out a lot of things to help increase our shelf life. But all of a sudden, gosh, this beer isn't up to standard anymore. I'm just not happy with the way that this one tasted. And if this one can taste this way, they might all taste this way, or you never know which one. And then what if somebody sends one to some guys like you? And it's not fair because that's not the way my beer tastes. I promise you. I know it doesn't taste that way, but it's come across in the bottle. I've learned from Faster Walker. I'll pull it all. I'll throw it all down the drain. We pulled it all and we gave it all to employees, and they all just had a great time. And who gives a shit? And
so you're talking about in the tasting room.
In the tasting room, but no, we also called everybody that had it on the shelf and said, "Hey, do you still have it on the shelf?" Yes, we still have it on the shelf. We'll either buy it back from you or we'll trade you out with new product.
Cool. Yeah, that's good.
Because there's valuable. Because say I'm just going to use a brand. They don't really have a freshness problem, so I'll use a brand that does a good job of freshness. But so all your friends keep telling you El Segundo makes the best goddamn IPA. And you're like, okay. And one day you go to the store and you see El Segundo on the shelf and you're like, oh, you know what? My buddy keeps telling me these guys make the best fucking IPA. So you pick it up and you get a bottle that's 9 months old. And you go home and you're like, what the fuck was my buddy talking about?
Well,
this beer
that's
sucks.
what I'm saying.
This brewery sucks.
Yeah, that beer does suck.
And nobody gained, El Segundo didn't gain anything by that one bottle sale.
Damaged.
They just hurt their brand, right? And El Segundo does a good job of keeping their beer fresh on the shelf, which is why I use them as an example, because they do it well. But yeah, there's so many breweries that are just like, yep, let's leave those year-old bottles.
There's no...
I don't think you can blame just the breweries.
Distribution.
The stores themselves also have a responsibility. They're like the shitty Chevron station down the street that has craft beer that I buy from. They still have it's going on 10 months old of Brew Free or Die from 21A, and that's a problem for both 21A. I think they should be more diligent.
Whoever sold it to them should know that it's that when they go back there, they've seen it. It's out of code.
Yeah.
And so that's the distributor not paying attention.
It's all Stone because everything they have is like a Stone distro product. And why they wouldn't pull that, I don't know. Because all the Stone stuff is fresh,
Or maybe it's just being sold and it's still there.
I don't know. But it's stuff like that where it's if
send it back.
If I own the shitty Chevron station down the street, I'd be like, hey, this is 10 months old.
See, but Chevron doesn't care. They just, when it sells, they want the money. But it makes a big difference. 21st Amendment, the actual guys that are in the brewery sweating and pulling hose.
No, I get it.
That means a lot to them.
And but I'm using the shitty Chevron station down the street.
No, but it's a pure example. It's a pure example.
Can I take a moment to chuckle at the term pulling hose?
Yeah, well, brewers pull a lot of hose.
Speaking of pulling hose, we're drinking beer from Stillwater.
Yeah, what are we drinking?
Not a good one.
I'm sorry, guys. I know I'm a distraction.
No, you're fine, dude.
That's why we're here. It's a podcast.
Called content.
I thought we were still drinking my
on.
If we just sat here, we should have a podcast just of us silently drinking beer. Just
everybody, I just want y'all to know Greg's comfortable. His shoes are off.
Next to a fire, we're just like, it's good. It's good.
It's really tasty.
Yeah, what is this? Stillwater? What?
This is extra
Stillwater extra.
Read all about it.
Double Brut IPA.
Does anybody else get butter?
Yeah,
it doesn't taste right.
I just get
Stillwater is really fucking us
further
today.
evidence that he might be a good
on my
mat
baked
replacement
potato
because he's got the D mouth going on.
I want to pour this on my baked potato.
I don't get much D on it, but
it doesn't. I don't like the flavor profile.
I don't know
of
if
this
it's
beer
diacetyl as much as or diacetyl or however you want to say
diacetyl.
It's butter. It's like
I see what you're saying. It's not diacetyl. It's some kind of.
But it's coating my mouth.
It's a mouthfeel weirdness.
Yeah.
I don't think it's diacetyl.
You know what? Like, how good is butter? But you ever put it just in your mouth? It's not good.
And it finishes weird.
It's good on everything, but not good by itself.
You're right.
I'm getting butter in my mouth.
It's got a weird.
That reminds me of a fun story. It's not that fun.
You're full. Share.
I'm out of random stories.
Share,
no, it's just me being in high school and somebody
rubbing butter on yourself.
You know how Denny's will give you those little it's like a little metal cup with like a pad of butter in it.
Yeah.
And somebody just threw one, and my friend caught it in his mouth, like just a giant pad of butter, just with a plop, and it's like, And so it gave you a very visceral memory reaction when you're like, if you just put butter in your mouth, it's like, I remember that. That was funny.
Yeah,
Because it's not good.
butter is gross, but if you put it on toast, it's
amazing, dude. It'll blow your mind. Put it on a potato, dude. Just like with some salt.
Yeah.
Whoa, holy
That's-
shit.
Put it on anything.
Put it on a steak.
Yeah.
This has it has a weird mouth coating like
Who's this from? Because I'm
slickness.
Stillwater.
It's slick.
Stillwater again.
Yeah, they fucked us again.
Yeah,
You know-
Stillwater, bro.
I'm gonna just give no one will ever know him. So I'm gonna give a shout out to Matt. Thanks, Matt. I love you, dude. Matt was from Stillwater when I met him. He doesn't work there anymore.
I like
Hi,
that.
Matt.
Guy. Yeah.
I think Stillwater was the name of the fake band in
They had that
Almost
they
Famous.
were the first person to have
That's right.
the 420 beer with the
I like that movie.
it was the road sign, the highway sign.
No. You're thinking of Sweetwater, right?
Sweetwater.
In Georgia?
Yeah, in Georgia. Okay, Sweetwater, not
Sweetwater,
Stillwater.
yeah. They have the 420 beer, like they have a trademark. It's like their thing.
Well, sorry, Matt. Hi, Matt.
yeah.
Sweetwater.
Another
They're
beer,
still.
dude.
I think they're
Hi,
still.
Matt.
They're still doing.
Because that's why I was confused when you said it the first time. I was like, they're like a gypsy brewery. They're like
Stillwater is, yeah.
Stillwater is,
But
but
Sweetwater's not.
No,
Yeah.
they're like. I think they're probably one of the biggest breweries in Georgia.
right. That's what I was. Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Well,
Matt,
to
Matt's still
put
not-
a bow on this beer, it's slick. It's got a weird bitterness happening. It's not fruity at all, and it is horrible, and it should kill itself.
Yeah, I don't like
Yeah.
it. I don't like it at all.
Yeah.
and I would never
I
drink
dumped
this
it.
again.
Also, it's
and honestly, unfortunately, I don't think that I would buy their product again.
also
because I've-
they
this
call
two
it
times.
they call it a brute, and
They're
it
hit or
is
miss.
cloudy as fuck, and
Brett.
the breaths are supposed to be clear.
And it wasn't dry at all.
No, it was bullshit. Fuck that beer.
If I'm drinking a brute, it shouldn't be slick in my mouth. you
fool
know?
me twice.
Have we tried my brute yet?
No.
Fuck you, Stillwater. I'm
Should we
mad
bring
at
my
him.
brute out now?
Brett in the butt.
This
We've
is our
got-
last show, right?
Who sent us these beers?
Did you bring the brute?
Yeah, the brute's here.
Okay, so yeah, we got to make sure we point this out. These beers were sent to us from Eric C. I'm not going to say his last name. He's out of Mill Valley, California. He sent us some beers from Cellar Maker, which is awesome because we don't usually get a lot of Cellar Maker on the show.
It is
so-
a rarity to get Cellar Maker down here. Yeah, we get people sending us stuff from like New York, New Jersey a
Yeah.
lot, but we don't.
Well, he also sent us a Trillium beer, but we're going to save that until the lawsuit's settled because we don't. There you go. Yeah, that's more
that
of a
beer
joke. but
cost an hour's worth of somebody's wages.
We didn't. Jesus. We don't have time for the Trillium. I might do it on a YouTube review. So
Okay.
so
But
Eric, thank you for the beers, Eric.
Mo Nelson by Cellar Maker, and
Awesome label, by the way.
Oh,
Cellar
man.
Maker is pretty reliably good.
Yeah, if you like Nelson hops, this is like
Oh my god, this
this
smells
is
amazing.
goddamn Nelson.
This smells so
You know,
fucking
Wow, this smells good.
I'm
It's diesel
I'm-
fuel, and
Yeah,
fucking gooseberries.
I'm still. What is it? The jury's still out for me on Nelson, so I haven't smelled this yet. You guys already wowed it so hard.
Okay, well, so you don't like Nelson.
I haven't.
so
I know. I don't know if I don't like it. I just.
it's a tick against you in the replacing Matt category. So.
It's just Well, it smells like Summit.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Can't.
Can't-
This is where yeah.
It
You're,
smells like Summit.
You would,
I
would
get,
know that.
I
and
get like
wouldn't.
with Nelson.
I can't disagree with you.
I end up with like garlic and onion and
Diesel fuel for me.
I get garlic and onion. Yeah, definitely.
where I still prefer.
But it smells really good.
It smells amazing. It still smells amazing, but I still prefer when it's scary, dude. And let me put this into perspective. Nelson is also going for $30 a pound.
Is that a lot?
Boom. Yeah.
Yeah,
That seems
when I
high.
can buy, I just bought some beautiful Centennial and Amarillo, just gorgeous for $8.
Oh wow. Okay. So
For
it's like
me,
triple the price.
So
some of
8, 16, 24, 30, almost
Yeah,
quadruple
4.
the price.
Yeah, 4, yeah.
some of my
For what? So for me, I think that wonderful beers can still be made. I think that it's like it's extortion.
I mean, if you can pull off a beer that tastes like a Nelson beer without paying for Nelson, then you're
Dude, you fucking won.
fucking awesome.
I don't know. I guess I can.
Nelson,
I guess I can say this because I'm doing it. We're going to have a couple of collaborations that are coming up soon. We're pretty excited about. One is with the brewery, and we're going to make an English barley wine, and we're going to put it in barrels. But the one that I'm the most excited about, it's really, really close and dear to me, is Pat McIlhenny. Was the original
Alpine.
founder and owner of Alpine Beer
Yeah.
Company down in San Diego, and Pure Hoppiness and the Exponential Hoppiness
Right,
and
yeah.
the Willie Vanilli and all these incredible beers that he made. When I first got into the brewing industry, I looked up to him tremendously. I was able to meet him young. He was very, very open with his knowledge and with his brewery with me. And, working at Left Coast Brewing Company, I knew Tom Nickel, who I was working with, who owns now O'Brien's and Nickel Beer Company down in Julian. He was, he was already deep in the scene down in San Diego, and he knew Pat. So we went down there to do bottling, just, for GABF and for samples. And I just built a relationship with the man, and I looked up to him in such a tremendous way. I mean, dude,
he makes great beer.
Fuck, yes, he does.
So you're doing a collab with Alpine too?
No, not with Alpine, with Pat.
Okay.
Well, yeah, because Alpine is
I don't know what the deal
the
is with
orphan
Alpine
brand.
still.
I don't either, and I didn't ask him because I don't care. It's not Alpine. Isn't the Alpine didn't make the incredible fucking beer that its label is on. Pat made that beer.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And
no, I get where you're going. Yeah.
I want to, and he asked me, I'm like, I don't even care if you collab with me. I don't care about the title or the name or what we're gonna do. I look up to you. I respect you. I just want you to come out here, and I want to show you what I've done. I need you to tell. I just need you to tell me you're proud of me.
So are you making a beer with Nelson hops?
So I don't know. He said we're gonna talk about it. We might, dude. We might.
Well,
it just
Pat and Stereo.
it just reminded me that we're gonna, So
that beer, the Nelson beer, Alpine Nelson, is the beer that made me fall in love with the hop.
Oh, for sure.
That is one of my all-time favorite IPAs.
Agreed.
And my understanding, the reason they stopped making the beer at Green Flash, and also just in general, is that a bunch of the Nelson hop farms just shut down or something.
Dude, I'm telling you, $30 a pound.
But
you can buy pot
the reason
still
it's
for
so
2 or
expensive
3.
is
Yeah,
a bunch
it's
of the
just harder
farms
to
that were
get.
making it were just
Yeah.
like, nah, we're gonna use this land for fucking soy or something now, and they just fucked off.
Yeah.
And so it became a shortage fucking hop.
Plus, for it to truly be like the Nelson hop, it needs to be grown in New Zealand.
Yeah.
Okay, not a huge place. They're like, do we need more hops or maybe some food?
That's true, yeah. Well, I think it goes with what Jason's saying. Maybe the hop farmers were like hops are great and all, and like it's good money, but like food is important too.
Get good money
And
selling hops.
Hops is not
Get
simple.
more money selling grapefruits. Selling grapefruits now.
But
Here in New Zealand.
this beer is pretty fantastic. Like,
Crikey.
right?
But it's definitely hop aggressive.
Well, that's what I want.
Well, Cellar Maker, that's kind of like that's their wheelhouse for sure.
This beer is super fucking good.
Every Cellar Maker beer I've had has been like
Absolutely
sort of
delicious, because just like this one.
Mill Valley Eric on a high five you.
Yeah, what is this?
Are we high fiving everybody?
Is this just like
you have one big 4 brewer high five, so just like high five the air 4 times.
one? No, I'm not going to do that.
No, he needs to when he hears this. He's got 4 people to high
Great,
five.
Oh,
good
nice.
for.
I'm the Foley artist.
So, what exactly is this? Is this like a brute or just like a?
6.9% ABV.
They just refer to it IPA with Mosaic, Nelson, and Columbus.
Oh, that's really good.
I'm only asking because I think it's a bit thin on the body, like watery thin. I think
aqueous.
That's the only bad thing I have to say about this beer. It could be a little more carbonated or a little more sweet, I think. But it's as far as hops go, knocked it out of the fucking park.
But there is something else that needs to maybe be addressed on the behalf of the brewers. You have this great idea, and you do all this research and development, and you get all your raw materials, and everything is in line. It's not like a bowl of soup that you can just add more broth to or add more salt to. Once it's happened, it's happened, and you do your best, and it's a living product, and it's never, no matter how consistent you try to be, unless you're Budweiser and you just brew 8 trillion of them and you got some genius savant on staff that can make them all taste the same, it's always going to be a little different, and you never quite know what you're going to come up with, and you just cross your fingers, you hope, and sometimes you kill it, and sometimes, you're slightly disappointed.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't mean that it doesn't go on. And so it's, I just have so much respect for the people that are out there trying so hard to make something special instead of just make something safe.
Cellar Maker, I think, is well known for making beers that are not I mean, they're consistently like good, but
think they
different
push the
at the same
boundaries, for
time.
sure.
Yeah, I mean,
I would venture to say that they are one of my favorite IPA producers on the West Coast,
yeah, and it's a brewery that
which
just,
means everywhere because
like,
the West Coast is better than the East
this-
Coast.
we don't
West
have a
side.
lot of hookups like on the north side of California.
We do
that,
not.
Like it's weird how many East Coast listeners we have that are like, yeah, here's the Trilliums
Here's all the shit.
and all that shit, which is great. Like, I'm not complaining at all. Like, I'll take it. But yeah, getting the Cellar Maker stuff is a treat because we don't get a lot of it, and
I feel like
it's always good when we
maybe
do get
they
it, though.
assume that we get it because we're also in California, but like
That's
a lot of
easy to
the
assume.
a lot of the
drive.
Bay Area stuff doesn't make it down here.
Well,
Yeah,
that's
it's a whole
fallacy.
different part of the country.
Yeah.
You know?
You know, nobody outside of Orange County is getting stereo beer, but just because it's in California. And
That's
just,
true.
you know, the last time I saw an Almanac beer on the shelf, it's been a while. You know,
That being said, by going into any given brewery, it is really hard to tell how far their beer goes. Because I've been to some breweries that are far away, and I'm like, how the fuck do you get beer to where I live?
Yeah.
You're like this big, you know? Like, how did I get
They
your
know a
bottled
guy.
beer at the store by my house?
Yeah, it's
And-
like
and-
distro like backdoor like weirdness happening.
Yeah.
Where it's like, okay, we've got this, and this, and we're gonna throw these breweries in here too. Okay, cool. And
I mean, I saw Santia Darius beer on the shelf here, but
so we're opening another beer from Stereo. This is Be the
be the void. It was early, man, and I was drinking.
Is this the double Brett?
This is the double brute.
The double Brett.
Brute.
Brute.
Whenever I think of double Bretts, it's like the double Dutch.
like a front bread.
So,
double Dutch.
actually, we, you know, when we made this beer, we didn't expect it to be a double IPA. We just wanted it to be a nice, beautiful, crisp, you know, champagne.
So were you trying to make a brute beer, like a brute IPA?
100%.
Okay.
100% set out to do that.
So the calculations, I'm assuming, were
Calculations?
made, well, for fermentation.
What?
Okay.
No, so we threw together a recipe, you know. And
So in general, if you're designing, so say Brute IPA, what are you targeting for the recipe? Like, what are the differences between your regular IPA?
This
That's
is-
my question. Yeah.
okay, a brute IPA. We made ours with no color at all, so as light as possible.
Looks good.
2-row and Pilsner. We wanted it bitter, but not too bitter. So we used in the kettle whole melon, and Citra. And then we brewed it to be about 6.5%. You know, I own a brewery, and I got married, and I'm running a business, and I moved into a new house, and my grandma,
Calgon, take me
you know,
away.
Yeah, exactly. You know, it's like, you know,
So it's
so
9%.
Ajax. So yeah,
So it ended up being a little.
So that's
just
a little
9%.
So
Did you do
Well-
any like enzyme or anything?
well,
to
right, because then we threw
dry
the
it out?
enzyme. We threw the enzyme. We put it in the mash, and then you know, but since it's infusion mash, I didn't trust it. It's like maybe it died because you know it you can't, if it's too hot, it'll denature the enzyme and it'll kill it. So then I threw a bunch more in the fermenter, and as it started to eat those sugars, it just kept going and going and going and going and
Well,
going.
typically,
and going.
I've never brewed one, but isn't the enzyme added post fermentation to kind of like finish off?
No, it's not
No?
added post fermentation. It's added immediately during the fermentation.
Oh, okay,
What it
okay.
does then during the fermentation is it takes all the complex sugars that
The regular yeast
weren't
can't-
unbreakable,
Yeah.
right? That weren't digestible. It breaks them up into simple sugars, and now the yeast is eating all of it.
Okay. So that's why I asked originally, like calculations. I don't know if you can. I guess you can calculate to the beer fermenting to 0 or negative Plato to get like a rough idea of where it might end up. That's why I asked.
What did this beer finish out?
If I was to drop my hydrometer into it, it might break.
So like it's definitely like under.
It's underwater.
Yeah.
Like so in Plato, would that be like 0, like a
Negative.
negative
Plato.
0,
It's negative Plato.
Negative.
negative
Yeah.
Plato, which is a fun, clever beer
Bootleggers.
name.
It's
actually
beer name and
Bootleggers,
label.
yeah.
Yeah, from Bootleggers.
Well, it's also
I saw that and chuckled.
it's a wine term.
We
'cause
called
wine
ours-
often finishes negative Plato
And cider.
You back sweeten and cider too. Yeah.
We called ours Be the Void. For anyone who doesn't know, that's a Dr. Dog album. Great band. You guys,
I don't know Dr.
No.
Dog. Sorry.
I'm gonna have to help you out
Sorry.
on that one.
I know Green Day.
Yeah,
Bevoid the.
bevoid the
Be
green.
best.
So
Don't bevoid the Green Day.
what
So what do you guys think?
Well, we-
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
It's great.
Should be dry.
I wish it wasn't 9%.
Yeah, it's dry as fucking dry as a bone.
Wow, it's drinkable.
The hop nose is super pronounced. Which,
Drinkable.
I mean, you kind of want it's a hop champagne, right? You want that effervescence, and you want the dryness, and you want some hop nose, right?
We've been and I don't know how I should be ashamed or stoked, but recently I've been adding orange juice to it regularly, and it drinks just like a mimosa, and it's absolutely fantastic, especially in the morning.
As the resident fanboy of the brewed IPA style, this hits the characteristic perfectly. Like,
Yeah,
it's
got everything.
exactly, I think, what I'm looking for. When I read brewed IPA and I order it, this is what I want. Like, this profile, this, like, the dry, where there's, like, a perceived sweetness from the alcohol and the hop, but not, like, really any residual sugar. It just hits my palate in a really good way. I'm really impressed by this. It's a really good beer, man.
Thank you very
and
much.
it's also
Yeah.
got some body to it. Like I think the hops sort of build this. The hops, the alcohol, and everything sort of like play this like party in your mouth of like just a really nice dry IPA champagne style.
Yeah, well, I said I would like it if it were lower in alcohol. I think we've talked
But
about
I'm
this
not
many
sure it would
times.
be
That
as full-bodied.
alcohol, well, the alcohol gives that perceived sweetness too at the same time. So maybe, while I'd like it to be lower alcohol, it couldn't be because it's making the beer actually have like some body to
Champagne.
it.
Tastes different.
Yeah, so it's
I-
a great beer.
I've had some brewed IPAs where I'm like, dang, this is really good, and I've had some where I'm just left feeling halfway there.
What was the carbonation level on this? Like, did
High.
you? Because I feel like it could be higher, or maybe that's because it's from a crowler.
I can tell you, no, it could be higher, and I agree that for style it could be higher, but as a commercial brewery, I'm going to send that out to somebody else's
And
draft
you have
system.
weird things
and the
happening,
draft,
yeah.
and then the carbonation's a little high, and they don't know how to deal with it. Now it's just
Sure.
foaming, and then they're calling me up and telling me that they've got a bad keg, and
Got
then
it,
they
yeah.
then they just took it and set it out of the cold box. Now it's hot, and now it's certainly winter, and so
Yeah.
there's certain
things you have to think about.
certain things that you have
It's
to
not the
keep.
first time we've heard that either.
Not
Right,
everyone has Beechwood's insane draft system.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, right.
exactly.
If I give, and not everybody has somebody on staff like Julian that actually knows what to do when this is or that. He knows what a brewed IPA is. I can actually call him and say, "Hey, it's carved up to this volumes," and he can deal with that. But a lot of these guys that like we were just talking about on the break, we're just going to go with a major distributor. They don't even know.
Yeah.
They don't know. They don't even know what cleaning lines means. They just know that, like, dude, my bro says that it's really good to get some tired hands or whatever, and it's and so it's really important to make sure that the beer is in the condition that an account can manage.
It's
Yeah.
almost like you'd have
So-
to section out, like have two bright tanks, one that's for like the kegs, and then one that's for dedicated just for cans. If you decide to can the beer, that's like at
What-
the
what
proper
we-
carbonation
right.
for a brute, and then you're good to go there. But
Right.
then that's more of a pain in the ass for you. And,
Yeah, everything we do is a pain in the ass. It's
Making beer is not easy.
it's intentionally labor intensive. It's there's nothing simple or easy or quick or cheap about making craft beer.
yeah.
It has to be a labor of love to make good craft beer. I can brew beer in 7 hours. Takes me 12 because I don't want to hurry it.
You drink beer while you're brewing. Get distracted.
Let me tell you something.
That's me, by the way.
Anybody out in the world of listening to podcasts understand that the first rule of making beer is that it causes thirst.
Yeah, you know,
You will be thirsty.
sit
drink
around and get
scotch.
thirsty and clean.
So make sure that there's enough beer to drink before you brew beer.
But outside of the carbonation, great beer.
Outside the carbonation, I'll shake it up for you.
Well, then you're just degassing it, and that's not
No,
gonna help
but drink
anything.
it fast.
Degouse it.
I'll put a straw in your mouth.
Somebody
and
wait.
blow some
This
fucking
is
bubbles.
this is a crowler. There's like half left. Who said they never shotgun anything?
I'm not going to do it right now. It's not going to happen, especially in here.
John's not driving, so John's got a shotgun.
You live here, dude.
I know that. That gets me in trouble. Fourth show many times.
For sure.
For sure.
For show.
For show.
So Merker's
I'm
comp.
definitely taking my shoes off next time I come.
You should do that.
Oh, yeah.
That sounded
I'm
weird.
doing it now.
So what do we got here? We got Merker's Revenge.
Yep, another one from Eric. It is
Merker's Comp.
Merker's Comp. Sorry.
Mashed with a healthy
Merker's
dose
Comp.
of oat, perfect for supporting bright papaya,
Did you get some?
tangerine, weedy,
No, I
dank
haven't yet
aromas
either.
and flavors from Mosaic Galaxy Nelson Strata, which is a hop I'm not familiar with, and Citra.
Stratocaster hop.
Have you guys had Strata hop?
No, never.
I have never heard of it.
He's a
they're-
goddamn professional. He hasn't heard of it.
That shit's coming out like last week. That could have been HQ 19974.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
That's true.
You know,
Let's look.
this has a Nelson vibe to it.
Nelson up front, and then I get this weird like
it does.
Italian sausage sort
It's
of
like Nelson without that onion.
character, like caraway. In the
You
finish.
know, I think I might be mad at you forever for making Nelson hop smell like Italian food to me.
Oh my God! Mosaic Galaxy
Do you get
Nelson
Italian-
Strata and Citra.
Italian
Jesus.
spices out of this.
You know,
actually does
interestingly
kind of,
enough,
doesn't it?
interestingly enough, I made Greg listen on the whole way here. I made him listen to 80s New Zealand pop.
Nice.
That's
You know-
he put me in the proper vibe.
So
New
it's like you're
Zealand
drinking
hops.
like an IPA in Buca de Beppo is what
That's
you're
right.
saying. This smells
Exactly in the kitchen.
Oh, this is good. Mm.
Oh wow.
Wow,
Dude, this dog loves me, bro.
Yeah, well,
Yeah,
she's
Betty's
she's
great.
a good dog.
It's awesome.
If you get tired of her, just tell her to go sit.
No
and
way.
she'll go away.
She's so fucking chill.
But she likes the pets.
hmm
Yeah, this is definitely hitting the spot, dude. Like,
it's definitely not full into that. Despite the name and the look, it's not fully into that hazy New England style. It's kind of that hybrid where
it's the West
it's a
Coast
little
version.
bit more
Yeah.
bitter. It's a little bit more of a bite. It's not just soft.
This is the hazy IPA I want. It's a West Coast hazy IPA, and it's selling.
But
right
I think that's where when the dust settles, I think in the end the majority of hazy IPAs will be a hybrid, not this New England style, not the full West
That's
Coast.
what they are now. Like,
Right.
It's all interpretation, and like it's a very regional style of beer.
Well, the tricky thing with that beer is that the people who kind of popularized it aren't every other beer style. You can look at a fucking textbook and be like, here's the things you need to do to make that beer right.
Irish red. Boom.
And
I appreciate that.
I think the biggest problem, problem, I will say, the biggest problem we've seen with the New England hazy IPA is the breweries that popularized it are like, we're not telling you what we did. And so it's been left to
You gotta crack the
everybody
code.
else to kind of figure out what they're
Yeah.
doing. And a lot of people did a real bad job.
But then
And
you got breweries like Monkish who like
Right.
bring other half over, and other half's like, here you go. And now Monkish like is thriving off of hazy IPA, but they also tweak it for the West Coast. Like,
But then
Can
what
I
flavor?
give a shout out?
sure, go ahead.
Shout out.
Hey, John Siemens, Monkish, love you, bro. Did a
Oh,
great
yeah,
job.
John, baby.
Proud of you.
Also, John Cena.
Yeah, John Cena too, I guess, dude. You know, he's bigger than you. He could probably take you, but you're handsome.
John's rad.
Yeah, I hired John. You know, originally he wanted to get in the brewing industry. Do you know John?
No,
Oh, he's a wonderful guy.
He worked at Noble for a long time with the big fucking beard.
He worked at Left Coast with me too.
wait, there's
He-
another guy at Noble with a big fucking beard.
That's
he was
every
the guy.
person.
The
in
guy with a
craft
huge
beer.
fucking
It was
beard.
pretty
That guy?
fucking big.
Yeah, he's cleaned up since then. He's actually not
Yeah,
that
he
bad
went to
looking.
Monkish.
No, fuck, he doesn't look like a bum.
No, I'm thinking of someone else. Then
He did a good job. He's the kind of person that should be in the brewing industry. I hired him to work at Left Coast just because he fucking hung out all the time. He was like a dog, dude, and just like always there because he worked at a skateboard shop around the corner. So I needed some help, and I was like, "Hey, do you want to do it?" And he's like, "Sure." And he commuted from Hemet
oh fuck,
to San Clemente
that's fucked.
every day, dude. That's That's commitment.
I can relate.
And then and so I rewarded him
Work
by
at a skateboard shop. Wow.
By making him clean your fermenters and stuff.
But by teaching about but by teaching about beer, by teaching him about brewing, by giving him an opportunity to get into an industry that's honestly to many people unpenetrable. You have to just get lucky.
Greg,
Penetrate it.
Penetrate.
Penetrode.
Okay, we haven't gotten to too many penetration jokes this episode, so
Jason, we interrupted your thought.
About what?
I don't know.
Penetrating.
you really liked Nelson hops.
Oh no! Just in general, what we've seen is because the hazy beer style is so opaque, pun intended.
Nice.
You get mediocre styles where people are just like, oh, if I just leave all the shit in my regular IPA, then I guess that's good. And then some, competent brewer tries it and he goes, oh yeah, I tried, Joe's Brewing's hazy IPA and it was shit. I don't get why everyone's excited about this style. And that has been the last 2 years of smaller breweries where, they're not going to fucking trade for Treehouse because that's not their scene. And then so they try Joe's Brewing hazy IPA and you're like, wow, this just tastes like a bad West Coast IPA that he left all the shit in. And then they go, well, that's the style. Why is everyone excited about this? I guess they just don't know what the fuck they're doing. And it's led to...
I think for me, this sounds fucked up, but in a very broad statement, I want hazies to just go away. That said, I want them to also morph into something else that's refined and definable. Because there's so many different interpretations of hazy IPA, but so many of them are so fucking bad.
Yeah,
you just don't you're rolling the dice when you buy a hazy IPA. You are, and every time I buy one, I'm just like, I hope it's good. I'm spending $6 on this can of beer. Well, I would assume it's fresh. Assuming it's fresh, then I'm assuming it's. I'm hoping it's good.
I would say. Sorry, go ahead.
And that's my point. I have fear when I buy hazy IPAs from non-trusted breweries.
A counterpoint to that though is that Brute IPA was very transparent from the beginning. The people that kind of
pun intended,
originated it.
Again,
it's
very opaque.
Ironic, but the people that originated it were like, yeah, here's what you do, here's what you need, here's the targets, here's the differences, and they laid out a clear roadmap.
Make it.
And we had 2 shitty ones today, so they're not all good, but I'd say the hit rate's a lot higher.
No doubt.
They were just weird though. They missed it completely.
That's the point I was making earlier is that the term, to put the term IPA or double IPA on a can anymore doesn't mean the same thing it used to mean.
Oh, that's completely right. Yeah.
You can get a beer that doesn't taste even remotely like an IPA at all. Not at all.
And I think what you're saying,
and that's what
you're
being
saying
marketed.
is when you see DIPA on a can, you have to.
I want Double Jack.
Well, hold on. You have to be kind of versed in the beer scene to know that if you see a can with a cartoon on it and it says DIPA, it's probably going to be a hazy with a lot of fruit in it. But if it's a bottle that says DIPA and it's from a regular traditional brewery, it's probably not going to be a hazy. It's going to be a double IPA.
It's going to be a West Coast style.
But the fact that you have to have that inside knowledge sucks.
I think to zoom out and be a little meta beer nerd analysis on it,
that would be no different from what you've done all day.
The fuck, man? I break my balls all goddamn day.
That's what we do.
So okay, come on, metaphysics.
But no, so
Dick Smets over there. Dick Steppen.
No,
Dick Steppen.
Jason Gerald said that for 2
we said
years.
that Matt was Dick Steppen. So
Greg, you stepped
filling
on
in
your own dick when you were saying
Dick
that.
Smetten.
So
Dick Smetten.
IPA is interesting because I feel because hop varietals are so different and can impart so many different flavors, you end up having a lot of beers that taste very different. Even getting rid of hazies, getting rid of fruited IPA, getting rid of all this stuff. Take 7 to 8% alcohol malt and hops, regular West Coast IPA. The flavor variety is still pretty large, which is honestly what attracts me to that style. But it also means that the tent that covers IPA is pretty big compared to, Kolsch. Like, Kolsch's are all going to taste within this range of flavor, right?
As well they should.
It's very defined. And IPA is basically a beer with a lot of hops, but it's not a beer with a lot of Cascade hops. It's a beer with a lot of hops. And a beer with a lot of Cascade hops is going to taste really different than a beer with a lot of Mosaic hops or whatever. And so you end up with all these different flavor profiles that are under one umbrella. And I think that is just kind of expanded to run wild because the style is inherently variable compared to other styles which are very static. I mean, not static, but very narrow.
They're static because of like their inherent style. Like,
right.
How far can you go with an Imperial Red? Like, you could probably do some weird shit with that style of beer, but why would you
be out of
want to? 'Cause
category.
it might suck. It's probably going to be bad.
I think it's an inherently broad category, and that ends up being that
it's almost
people
like
get
IPA.
really broad.
It's like
with
saying
the canvas
it's like
for
saying the word
IPA.
pale ale. Okay, pale ale means what?
It is.
I think you're
light in
getting
color.
into what I'm trying to say. Like the canvas for beer, when you call it a pale ale, it's not blank, but like it's the criteria for making that style is just so it's very
broad.
Loose, It's
broad.
and it's up for
Same with
interpretation,
Saison.
which is the cool thing about beer, and I like that and I appreciate it. But as a consumer of beer and someone who's paying $5 for a single can of 22-ounce can of beer, or not even a 16-ounce can of beer, it's like, all right, where do we draw the line where it's like I'm just wasting my money and gambling on beer? And that's what I want. I don't know. I want more defined terms, and we're in this really cool time of like where people are figuring things out, and that's fun and cool, but it's also expensive for beer drinkers and people that don't know anything about beer because it just makes them more prone to be like, I'm just going to go to what I know, and I'm going to buy, this brand or whatever it is. And I don't know.
Like the sense of adventure is going away, and the brand loyalty and the hype is taking over.
I was going to say, in order for anything to be called an IPA, you should have to put it in a barrel and put it on a boat and send it to India and have the people in India take a sample and go, yeah, it's pretty good. Then it can be called an India Pale Ale.
Or at least at the
what the fuck?
At the
Why do we still call India? Like,
yeah.
what
well,
the
that's
fuck
a whole
point?
other fucking discussion, Greg.
Right. So, yeah.
I do think beer classification can't keep up with beer creativity at this point.
That's true.
It can't, but there should be some creativity in classification. You can just like with the hazy IPA. I still stand firm on it shouldn't be called an IPA. I said, dude, make a whole new ingredient, make a whole new category, and just call it fucking delicious. I don't care what you call it, or juicy.
I see what
you
you're
just
saying.
call it
It's
a
like-
hazy ale.
It's not that they're not good beers; they're great,
They're still IPAs though. Like they're still hop forward pale beers.
but they're not bitter.
But I see what you're saying. It's
They're not clear.
But
Those are
some
all things
are.
that are in
They're
there.
not going to make it to India.
Greg.
Right. They never saw a boat. They never saw a barrel. They never saw they never saw a parrot.
They would
They never
run
saw
like
an-
halfway to Gibraltar.
An Englishman or a tiger?
I don't know. It's a fun discussion to have, and like we're in like a really cool like time in craft beer, and especially for IPA. Like it's just shifting, and it's I don't know. It's fun.
But Swami's is constant, and it's always
Swami's
good.
is great.
Yep.
Swami's is great.
You can depend on Swamis. Like you know what you're getting. When you-
Swami's would make it to India.
Hi there,
It
folks.
even says it on the can. It's got
in
the
these
little
trying
India badge.
in these trying times, people are more divided than ever. The fake news is everywhere. You don't know who you can count on. But you know who you can count on? Pizza Port, Swami's IPA. Just as goddamn good as it was the first day you tried it. And 16-ounce can, so you get more beer for your dollar. Swami's, the dependable IPA.
So if you want to find Four Brewers online, we're at fourbrewers.com. You can find all of our social links there. We're on the Instagrams and the Twitters. Even though Twitter's horrible right now, the Facebooks and everywhere else. Patreon.com/4brewers if you want to please support the show.
Please.
It helps us do cool things, go places, and make awesome content for our listeners. And what am I forgetting?
Give us a
review.
Review
especially
on iTunes.
after our show changes here. We'd love to hear your feedback. Let us know how we're doing.
Yeah, I mean, if you have something bad to say, don't go to iTunes. Just send us a message at feedback@4brewers.com. But if you have something positive to say, then by all means, go to iTunes and
in general, if you have some ideas for us going into this post-Matt era in these trying times.
Do we want more games? Do we want more of this?
Shoot us an email. What do you like in the show? What should we focus on?
Want to be on the show?
This
Send
is
us an
your
email.
Yeah, fuck it.
We're down. Not that we're desperate, but it's fun to have guests on the show. It's fun, and I think we've always been that way. So, but yeah, good reviews online, Patreon.com, and brew the shit out of it.
Put a little tiny man in your butt.
In your butt.